Good morning to the Honorable Ministers of the Council, members of the media, online viewers, radio listeners via St. Martin Gov Radio 107.9 FM and respective radio stations island-wide. I'm Rolika Roach and welcome to the virtual Live Council of Ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, July 29th, 2020. At this time, I would like to invite the Minister of Justice, the Honorable Anna Richardson, to address you. Minister Richardson, you have the floor.
This morning, I want to update activities of the Ministry of Justice over the last week. Police management has reintroduced safety guidelines about the visits to the police station due to the uptick in COVID-19 cases. In doing so, complaints to the police can now be temporarily filed online or via telephone. In order to do so, one must send an email to ar@policesxm.sx or call 542-2222. In the case of more complex complaints, a referral will be made to the Detectives Department for an appointment in order to be assisted. In case of an emergency, please call 911. Persons wanting to file an official complaint at the Phillipsburg or Simpson Bay Police Station should note the following. Entry will not be granted without an appointment for non-emergency matters. To schedule an appointment, the following information will be required by email or over the phone: your name, date of birth, place of birth, address, phone number, and a short summary of the incident. A maximum of 4 persons at a time will be allowed in the waiting area of either stations. Social distancing rules will apply and should be adhered to at all instances. Regarding the function books, a press statement will be disseminated this week in order to keep the justice workers and the general public updated on where the Ministry of Justice is currently with this item. I assure you that the function book remains a top priority for the ministry, and as such, we will continue to update on its status. With regards to the current weather conditions and the activation of the AOC, which includes ESF 5 Coordinator Police Chief Carl John, military assistance was requested. I can announce that this request was accepted, whereby St. Martin now has received 11 Marines and vehicles at the disposal of the police force. This will enable them to launch the most applicable scenario depending on the severity of the storm ahead. The Immigration Department would like to announce that due to the impact COVID-19 virus and the government's appeal to have the
Minister, if you can hear us, you're breaking up badly.
Adhere to with regards to social distancing rules and guidelines. Please be informed that as Monday, August 3rd, conducted by appointment only.
At this time, I would like to invite the Minister of Education, Culture, Youth and Sport, the Honorable Rudolph Samuel, to address you. Minister Samuel, you have the floor.
Thank you and good morning to you, Rolika. Good morning, PM. Good morning to my colleague ministers. Good morning to the media. Good morning to the people of St. Martin. We know today is a wet one, but it's a good one. Today, some students were scheduled to sit some CXC-related exams, and some of these exams were to take place in the morning and some were to take place in the afternoon. Because of the weather conditions at the moment of today in St. Martin, we have decided that all of the exams, both those of the morning and those of the afternoon, are cancelled. The reset of the exams, the date and time, will be mentioned and will be conveyed to you all and to everyone on a later date. And we know that this will then come from the CXC board. Second, I would like to go back over another item that we have spoken about in the past, and that is the opening of schools. Some persons met me and they would like to know if schools are going to be open. And yes, as I said before, schools are going to be open because education have to continue. And when we say education have to continue, and we look at the situation in St. Martin, we are going to do this together. Together because this is an issue that is an issue that concerns parents, teachers, students, school managers, school boards, Ministry of Education, community, government, and everyone. The situation surrounding education and the COVID situation is related. When we continue school, there are different issues that we have to take into consideration. We are going to take into consideration the infections on the island. We will take into consideration the hospitalization, inspections in the community, infections in school. And while we take these issues into consideration, we are going to pay attention to three main requests that has been going out to the public, and those are the requests of the VSA, and CPS. Simple, the mask or shield wearing, the washings of hand, and the social distancing. At all time, these three things need to be taken into consideration. When going back to school or when opening school, we know that every school building or every school location is different than the other. So we will look at the school types, the primary schools, secondary school, tertiary schools. We look at the size of the school. We look at the size of the classrooms. We look at the students, the age of the students, and we also take into consideration the situation surrounding the health of teachers and also some students, because we all know there can be teachers who have underlying issues. Those issues have to be taken into consideration. When we put all of this information together, we can then decide depending on the school type. So this has to be decided not only by the Ministry of Education, but together with the school board and the school managers. It will be decided depending on the school type if we will go to school, let us say, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday and Thursday. That is an option. Another option can be Monday and Tuesday, and then the other group Wednesday and Thursday, and then we can back check with Friday. We can also do a combination of some students in school and some students at home, which is online learning. All of these combinations are not set in stone. So I am giving this information because I would like the parents, the teachers, the students, school managers, and the whole community to understand these are the things that we are going to think about, and we are thinking about while we put the safety of everyone first. So safety first, the protocols of shield and mask, hand washing, and social distancing, which has been conveyed to the community, is upfront. We know, depending on the type of schools, we might have to do extra hand washing stations. And when it comes to online learning, the challenges remain with data, software, hardware, stuff like devices. So I will be in the news on different sites, on different radio stations, and we will together discuss these items. I know there are different persons who would have questions regarding to the situations, whether they should send their child to school and whether they should not send their child to school. We know that depending on the age of the student, of the child, different methods apply, and together we are going to do this one. But it is important that we understand health comes first and education must continue. Relika, I will stop here for now and I will await any questions that would come. Thank you.
Just a quick update for the Ministry of TEAT this week. In regards to the airport reopening, we are still opening the airport as of August 1st to US flights. It's a heavily reduced flight schedule. Delta Airlines has reduced to 3 flights a week. JetBlue has canceled flights from Florida and reduced to 1 flight a week from New York from JFK. American Airlines has 1 flight coming in from Charlotte and 5 flights coming in from Florida. In terms of last week, in terms of inspections coming from the Ministry of TEAT, last week over 50 restaurants had been visited and site inspections were conducted. The establishments had everything in place in order for us to adhere to the guidelines, the health protocols. Inspections have also been conducted for all hotels and other lodgings. We are also continuing the 2nd week of the training for the taxi drivers that are currently, last week was at the airport, this week was the taxi associations from Phillipsburg, the rest of the airport, as well as the harbor, and the other taxi associations not affiliated with the airport. And part of the training was the COVID-19 training, as well as a review of customer service training. The Ministry of Tourism looks forward to welcoming visitors in a very safe manner. The public is always advised to continue following the protocol, the guidelines and protocols, especially as mentioned by the Minister of Education. You will have every minister reiterating the importance of physical distancing, wearing a mask, washing hands frequently, and proper cough etiquette. As you see now today, we are closed as 11, as mentioned by the Prime Minister in her briefing this morning. We would like to continue reminding the public and business owners to make sure that insurances are in place and all their surrounding areas of their homes are properly prepared to minimize any debris. The Meteorological Department of St. Martin has been informing the public via radio programs on various topics, including Saharan dust, 2020 Atlantic hurricane season predictions, and the importance of being prepared for hurricane or storms, but also in the event of heavy rainfall events. The Meteorological Department of St. Martin is the official source of weather information on the island. You can reach them at www.meteosxm.com or on Facebook /SXM Weather. Thank you all for your attention. I'm sorry, there was one point I forgot to mention. As we start to open up the airport to the reduced flight schedule from the US, you will also notice stricter guidelines that are being required by the Ministry of VSA, and I'm sure that during the next couple days, more information will come out. The website for entry requirements is still the same, stmartinentry.com, but it's a lot stricter requirements for persons coming to visit the island so that we are more in line with our French counterparts as well. So please continue to visit the St. Martin Updates website from the Tourism Office as well, and stmartinentry.com for any other questions that come from as things change from the Ministry of VSA. Thank you very much again.
Thank you, Minister De Wever, for your opening remarks. At this time, I would like to invite the Minister of Public Health, Social Development and Labor, the Honorable Richard Panafleck, to address you. Minister Panafleck, you have the floor. Minister Panafleck, if you can hear me, can you kindly unmute your mic, please?
Sorry about that. Thank you, Ms. Roach. My esteemed colleagues, good morning. Members of the media, members of the community who are listening via this address via radio, internet, or viewing via television, good morning. As of July 28 at 5 p.m., the Ministry of VSA was informed by Dr. Raisa Chong Comfort that we are currently at 45 active cases. While we brace ourselves for the first test of severe weather condition for 2020 hurricane season, the community also has to face the reality of a rapid spike in the number of COVID-19 cases. Of the active cases, local health authorities are monitoring 43 cases in home isolation. The number of people recovered since the first case surfaced on St. Martin early this year is currently at 64. 194 people are now in quarantine based on contact tracing investigations carried out by CPS on persons who may have been in contact with any of the 45 active cases. In continuing the effort to control the spread of the virus, CPS has now tested 151 people at the Princess Juliana International Airport and 690 people throughout the community. As the numbers increase for the positive cases, CPS continues to actively execute its contact tracing measures, which will likely reveal more cases before the numbers begin to reduce. There is still a need to ensure absolute safety while we work towards managing the increase in COVID-19 cases. We cannot stress the importance of wearing masks, social distancing, and washing your hands with soap or using proper hand sanitizers enough. These are the only steps that we as a community can take to ensure that we reduce the spread and flatten the curve as the fight against COVID-19 continues. I also want to say that yesterday, after that the management of the airport was shown the application that have to be uploaded by the tourists coming to St. Martin. The day before, yesterday, the representatives of the different airlines was given also a presentation, and the message that I'm getting right now that they experience that as very positive. Besides that, I would like also to state that the Labor Affairs and Labor Department are constantly working towards the different labor issues that our country is facing. More details will be coming in the coming days as we are still busy with the COVID-19 issues. I would like to thank you for your attention. God bless us all. Keep safe, and that we can ride out again this challenge of the weather that we are encountering today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister Panafleck. At this time, I would like to invite the Minister of Finance, the Honorable Artwell Edion, to address you. Minister Edion, you have the floor.
Good morning. Thank you, Malika. Good morning to my colleagues, the media, and to all the viewing audience. I'd first like to have get my notes quick. Yes. First, like to update the public that it took a little longer than we wanted, but the SAP portal will be open this Friday, July 31st, and will close again August 14th. The reason for the delay in the opening of the portal was the changes we had to make, due to the CFT and the basic conditions changing. Also, the calculations on presenting the calculations to SZV and confirming the calculations. We are now ready to open the portal on July 31st. Yesterday afternoon, I also met with a team that is currently working on the budget and also working on the conditions for the civil servants that were also put on us by the CFT and the BZK. We have a couple of other some scenarios that we would like to discuss with the unions, so we will be contacting them shortly to have a possibly informal meeting to discuss our new scenarios, also based on the new, not conditions remain the same, but the new idea of how it can be done. Also take into consideration the latest advice given by CFT on the conditions. So hopefully we're going to finalize the information this week and contact the unions shortly to have possibly an informal meeting before we do a formal meeting on the conditions. That'll be all for today, and I look forward to the questions. Malika.
Thank you, Minister Edion, for your opening remarks. At this time, I would like to invite the Minister of Public Housing, Spatial Planning, Environment and Infrastructure, the Honorable Egbert Duran, to address you.
A pleasant good morning to you, Ms. Roach. Good morning, Prime Minister, my colleague ministers, members of the media, and a special good morning to the people of St. Martin. Today, I will briefly update you on the following topics. In relation to the impending tropical disturbance, which is expected to strengthen into our tropical storm, Isaias, I would like to inform the general public that the Department of Infrastructure Management did an assessment of the trenches in the critical areas. The critical areas are those which are prone to flooding. The respective contractors were instructed by the department to clear any debris, secure the flow of the water in the trenches. As of yesterday, all the trenches were cleared. Furthermore, the contractors will be on standby in the event that their services are needed in clearing debris from the trenches again. Crews have also been put together and placed on standby in the event that the roads need to be cleared up as well. I would once again like to remind persons who feel that they may be in need of a shelter in the event of a storm or hurricane to make use of the early registration. It is imperative to maintain the social distancing measures in these shelters as well, as we continue to observe the increase in the COVID-19 cases. Furthermore, it is vital to have a slight idea of the relevant expectation beforehand in order for us as a government to better prepare for these persons who might need shelter. The digital form can be found on the government's website, www.stmartingov.org, as well as on the Facebook page of the Ministry of VROMI. Additionally, as the peak of the hurricane season is near, I'm advising residents to take notice of the flyer and schedule for the hurricane cleanup, which is continuously being published in the local newspaper, the Ministry of VROMI Facebook page, as well as all other news outlets. As of August 1st until the 31st, the haulers will be collecting debris from the central bin location per district as mentioned in this schedule. I would also like to reiterate to the community to take the necessary precautions by clearing their surrounding areas of any debris or unwanted items that can be a hazard during the passing of any tropical disturbance. That will be all for me today, Ms. Roach. I look forward to any questions the media may have. God bless the people of St. Martin and stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Duran. At this time, I would like to invite the Prime Minister and Minister of General Affairs, the Honorable Silvera Jacobs, to address you. Prime Minister Jacobs, you have the floor.
Good morning, Rolika. Good morning to the Council of Ministers, the media present, as well as following via the social media and other forms of media, and of course to the general public of St. Martin. I would first of all, Rolika, I did receive a voice note from our Minister of Justice with the last part of her briefing, and I'd like to play that now.
COVID-19 virus, and the government's appeal to have the public strictly adhere to. Due to the ongoing rise and impact of COVID-19 virus, and the government's appeal to have the public strictly adhere to social distancing rules and guidelines, please be informed that as per Monday, August 3rd, in-person services at the Office of the Immigration and Border Protection Services will be conducted by appointment only. Appointments can be made by contacting the help desk via telephone 543-0369, 543-5354 or 55, or by sending an email to immigration@stmartingov.org. Please note that it may take longer than usual to receive a confirmed appointment due to the strict measures of COVID-19. On the day of your appointment, you must wear a face mask upon entrance of the immigration office. If for any reason you are unable to attend the appointment, please be so kind to contact the office in a timely manner to give notice so that the time slot can be dedicated to someone else. As it relates to the prison, much like police and immigration services, an announcement regarding COVID-19 measures at the House of Detention will be published within the coming days. I am pleased to announce that I have received notice from the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force, which is the CFATF, on July 24th, 2020, indicating that St. Martin has successfully completed the third round of mutual evaluations. The CFATF, in its letter, also advised that the public statement against St. Martin will now be retracted. As part of keeping the community safe to conduct business, the prevention and money laundering and financial terrorism is a crucial part. The third evaluation process helps us to do just that. We are proud of the progress so far and we look forward to continuous progress and working with the CFATF. We extend great gratitude to the CFATF team for all their hard work in supporting St. Martin in this great accomplishment. Indeed, this achievement should be celebrated. Having now successfully completed this stage, St. Martin will request to exit the third round of the mutual evaluation and move on to the fourth round mutual evaluation process. The CFATF extended their congratulations to St. Martin on this achievement. I'd like to thank you for tuning in to the press briefing this morning, and I again apologize for the inconvenience of the internet service.
Thank you very much, Minister. Thank you very much, Council of Ministers Rolika, for indulging us in this bit of a technology snafu, but I'm happy that the information was able to be shared with the general public of St. Martin. For the Ministry of General Affairs, I would like to update that we did have a meeting yesterday in the Parliament of St. Martin, the continuation of urgent public meeting number 27, which had been adjourned after the second round of questions. We were able to finalize agenda point 1 with the answering of questions and clarifications based on the lack of implementation of various programs and projects of the Trust Fund and the upcoming hurricane season, jumpstarting the economic activities of the country. Some of the members of Parliament were able to, after I made my opening remarks on the second agenda point, the lack of approval of various programs that are beneficial to the economic reform and growth of the country. And this allowed for the first group of members of Parliament to express their concerns as well as to voice their questions. The meeting was adjourned as I was called to host a EOC meeting, which was an urgent meeting due to the current weather conditions, and the meeting will be reconvened as soon as possible. Fumigation of the government building took place over the weekend on the third and first floor, as well as the elevators. They were all fumigated and sanitized on Sunday as a precautionary measure. This was due to the fact that due to COVID-19 contact tracing, 2 civil servants were identified that work on the third floor, and to avoid any cross-contamination should they be determined to be COVID positive, they were sent home to be quarantined, and it was determined that we would do the sanitization of the areas within their proximity. So there are no COVID-19 positive civil servants at the moment, but we do have 2 civil servants who are quarantining as possible contacts of someone with COVID-19. We continue to wish them well, and as we know, the stigma is definitely not necessary in this situation. It is a matter of health and precaution and ensuring that all are safe. All persons, when our government building reopens for business tomorrow, God's willing, if all goes well, will be required as per usual to wear a mask at all times. Sanitization continues at various touch points, and we ask that persons uphold the protocols for the government building as well as anywhere that you may go for your own protection. From the Council of Ministers meetings, I would also like to update that as of next Tuesday, August 4th, radio programs on the explanation of the Consensus Kingdom legislation, the proposed entity by the Dutch government, and the effects if such an entity is imposed would have on St. Martin will commence. The radio programs will be aired by the Department of Communications, DCOM, and hosted by the Secretary General of the Ministry of General Affairs, Mr. Hensley Plumtain. Mr. Dennis Richardson and Mr. Roland Duncan, 2 of the members of our legal committee, will be the first 2 guests. Based on the presentation by the Committee of Legal Experts, scheduled for the upcoming Thursday, July 30th, adjustments to the program can, of course, still take place. So stay tuned. We will be updating the general public as to the exact date and time of these radio programs, as we believe education of our population on our legal status, as well as possible entities and laws being imposed, should be made very clear. Also, as an update on the proposed aid from the Dutch and the entity, we are, as Government of St. Martin, awaiting the proposal of the exact same legal group of experts that has been put together by the Council of Ministers and chaired by Mr. Plumtain to proceed with on how to proceed with the Dutch proposed entity. I am also in constant contact with the Prime Ministers of the Caribbean countries of Aruba and Curacao, and the St. Martin legal team will be meeting today at 11 a.m. I will be joining them for this meeting, as well as my legal advisor, to finalize the discussions as to their findings in preparation for our Council of Ministers meeting upcoming on Thursday. It is still the intention of the 3 Caribbean countries to present a proposal to the Netherlands, and in the feedback I have been receiving from my counterparts in the other 2 countries, the discussions, while they still continue, there seems to be little compromise at the moment up until the day of today. We will continue to collaborate and cooperate, of course, as any consensus would require all of us being on the same page. As such, we as Caribbean countries are holding one head, as we would say in St. Martin, and I am very pleased that we will continue to do so in the future. I would like to thank the previous ministers for their updates related to potential tropical storm Isaias, based on the projections from the Met Office of St. Martin and our meteorologist, Mr. Joseph Isaac. There is an anticipation of the weather conditions continuing for today. The decision has been taken to recommend businesses to be closed by 11 a.m. I did notice that there were some businesses, including banks, open early this morning, and many have been closed already. So I will continue to ask the general population to finalize your business on the streets and get home to safety. This is, of course, in connection with ensuring safety of all employees, that they will be off the streets by midday today, 12 p.m. The tropical cyclone, or the potential cyclone, is going to be passing through the Lesser Antilles and will pass within 135 miles south of St. Martin. As the winds extend further up to 275 miles from the center, we can expect to feel wind gusts as well as experience rainfall as well as thunderstorms throughout today and hopefully ending by tomorrow. As Minister mentioned, ESF3 have made all the necessary precautions, but of course, if the rain does reach its maximum expected number of 6 inches, that can be still detrimental and cause flooding in the usual areas. So persons living in those areas are asked, of course, to remain vigilant and to notify if there is a situation that becomes untenable. The Minister of Rami was updating as to the registration for the shelters. I would like to announce that the ESF7 coordinator, Ms. Joy Arnell, just updated me a few minutes ago that the hurricane shelter identified at the John Harmony Center in Phillipsburg is being prepped at the moment and will be open as of midday today in case there are any persons needing to go there. Of course, this is only expected for emergency situations. Only this shelter will be open. Security and management will be provided, and all of the other persons, there was only one registered person, and unfortunately, Minister, though you asked them, any persons to register at this time, due to our building being shut down at the moment, there wouldn't be the opportunity for anyone to respond to that registration at this moment. So anyone needing a shelter is asked to then go directly to the shelter at the John Harmony Center, which is next to the Sports Auditorium on the Pondville and opposite the car dealership. So please go there. There is no opportunity to register anymore as of now, and we will look into ensuring that access to that is also available during a storm for the next one. However, for this one, if there's anyone with an acute need for shelter, you can make use of the John Harmony Center after midday today. We will continue to update on the situation regarding our weather conditions as we follow also along with www.meteosxm.com as well as government website hurricane, where you can also download your hurricane season readiness guide and hurricane tracking chart. You can also download on your Android or Apple phones the Disaster Prep St. Martin app and listen to our broadcast on 107.9, other local radio stations, and as long as we have internet via our websites as well. I would also like to update the general public that I held a recent meeting this morning with the Prefet of French St. Martin, Madame Sylvie Faucher, and as had been said after our Monday meeting that we would reconvene this morning. In our telephone conversation, the Prefet, after consulting with the minister, the relevant minister in France and the ARS in Guadeloupe, Madame Denoux, she has determined and decided that she will be instituting border controls, internal border controls, due to her concern with the high number of COVID cases on Dutch St. Martin. The French side also has registered today, as of today, 8 active cases, and they are carrying out or expecting to carry out, due to the weather, they will start tomorrow with more community testing. In our discussions with the collectivité, we as government of St. Martin also determined that we would do more community testing. I can assure that, and I did assure also Madame Fisher, that many of our St. Martin residents, Dutch St. Martin that is, have been coming forward with and reporting symptoms over the past 2 weeks, and that is why we are able to actually give our actual numbers. We will stay tuned and in communication with our French counterparts. The ARS and the CPS department working on the health on Dutch St. Martin are in constant contact. The authorities, justice authorities, continue to also collaborate and cooperate, as we are also still facing this storm as one island as well. And while we on the Dutch side, as government St. Martin, have not taken a decision to institute any border controls, the French territory is the purview of the Prefet, and as her decision will stand for the citizens of French St. Martin, I will like to inform the citizens of Dutch St. Martin that their movements to the French side will be limited as of Friday, 12 p.m. So any movements after Friday, 12 p.m. will be monitored by the authorities on French St. Martin, and only persons needing to travel to and from French St. Martin for work purposes, health purposes, or to care for elderly or sick or children will be allowed, as was done in the past. So I ask the persons who need to make those movements to ensure that they have the necessary documentation by Friday, 12 p.m., upcoming July 31st. This is a decision of the Prefet of St. Martin, Saint-Martin, Madame Sylvie Fisher, in our discussion this morning, and we will continue to meet daily to update on our COVID cases, as well as ensuring that we can bring our protocols as much as possible in line. As a matter of fact, the multidisciplinary task force will be advising government within the next couple of days, hopefully by the end of today, if communications remain up and running, on which protocols may need adjusting in order to align even more so with those of French St. Martin. What we are doing, as Minister Tiat mentioned earlier, is that we are putting secondary and tertiary checks in place for all our U.S. inbound passengers. But as you know, we are not seeing any rise at this moment from visitors to St. Martin, and our protocols and checks and balances are in place to ensure that that remains as such. As a result of the local transmissions, however, I would like to reiterate to the general public of St. Martin that continuous proper face mask usage when out in public, social distancing of 1.5 to 2 meters or 6 feet away from other persons is mandatory. Hand washing is recommended as often as possible, and observing the proper respiratory etiquette of coughing or sneezing into your elbow and washing your hands directly after. Limit physical contact. I know we had gone back to, I did notice quite some hugging, handshaking, and kissing taking place within the community. And I know this is difficult for us, but we must limit physical contact in order to stop the movement of the virus. We must all do our part in the fight against COVID-19 and not become complacent. We have been here before, people of St. Martin, and I am quite sure that we can nip this in the bud once again. It will take all of us working together, the individuals, all our organizations, all our businesses and entities whereby the public is making use of their services, and government of St. Martin. We will do our part, you do your part, and together we will crush the curve once again. COVID-19, however, is a virus that continues to be all around the world. And for us to keep our numbers within manageable levels, all of us will have to work together to do so. We are currently facing basically two disasters at the moment. Well, not a disaster necessarily with the weather, as it is not expected to get worse than a tropical storm. However, be vigilant, be careful, ensure that all your preparations are in place, and stay tuned to the further updates from myself as chair of the EOC, as well as to the meteorological office and Mr. Joseph Isaac. Stay tuned, St. Martin. We will stay through this together and we will come out of this successful. Have a blessed and safe Wednesday afternoon.
Thank you, Prime Minister Jacobs, for your opening remarks. If you've just joined us, you are watching the live Council of Ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, July 29, 2020. We now move on to the question and answer session. Unfortunately, I would like to inform the members of the media that we are approaching our time. Therefore, we will only have one round of questions. I do encourage all to send the rest of the questions in writing to the Minister's Cabinet, and they will be responded accordingly. Also, please note the Minister of Tourism, Economic Affairs, Transport, and Telecommunication, the Honorable Ludmila De Weaver, is not present in the meeting. However, you can also forward questions to her cabinet accordingly. I will begin with Nakisha Boseman of the Daily Herald. You have the floor.
Thank you, Reliker. Can you hear me?
Yes, Nakisha, we can hear you.
A pleasant good morning to everyone. My first question is for the Minister of Education. Minister Samuel, earlier in your opening remarks, you mentioned some of the safety measures expected when schools open, as well as possible changes in the school programs. However, my question to you is, has the ministry sent out any mandatory guidelines or measures to the various school boards, or how they proceed is an option for each school to be determined?
Thank you, Nikita, for the question. Yes, indeed, the ministry has sent out a package of and we call it Education, St. Martin Education Continuation Plan, and the continuity plan, and this has been shared with all the school boards. It is the intention that that this document is discussed together with the school boards. They have to most naturally send it to the managers, and every school will have what I would look at as tailor-made approach to going back to school or to continuing with education. So it depends on the size of the classrooms. It depends on the students, because primary school students, secondary school students, the approach can be different. And this all will be worked out, and together with the department, you will hear from us, and the school will indicate what they will be doing. And so, yes, it has been done.
Thank you, Minister Samuel. Thank you, Nakisha, for that question. I would now like to invite Bibi Shaw of SMN News. You have the floor.
Good morning, Relaika. Good morning, everyone. What's happening here? I'll ask my question to either the Prime Minister or actually the question is actually for the Minister of Justice. But since she's having issues hearing, I do not know if the Prime Minister will be able to answer that question.
BB, Minister Richardson is still in the meeting. She's monitoring it. So what she's doing is also taking note of the questions and will send the response in writing. So you can go ahead and pose a question. Maybe Prime Minister can chime in as well, but Minister Richardson will then provide that answer to you in writing.
Okay, thanks a lot. Minister Richardson, if you can hear me, what I would like for you to explain is exactly what is the hiccup with the function book for the justice workers. Minister, for the past 10 years, several ministers have worked on this legislation. And honestly, I believe at one point, it was stated to the media, it was told to us that this was already ready, the draft was ready, and just the signing has to take place. But every time there's a new minister, it pushes back. What I'd like to know exactly what is the hiccup.
Thank you, BB. Minister Richardson has noted that question, and that question will also be responded in writing. Prime Minister, by any chance, did you have any words to chime in on that?
Not yet, Rolika, but I will get the information from the minister and relay it.
Okay, thank you, Prime Minister. Thank you, BB, for that question. I would now like to invite Lyndon Brown of BCN TV. You have the floor.
Good morning. Good morning to the people of St. Martin and to the ministers that are present here today. Question to the Prime Minister. Prime Minister, I'm asking you, can you be more specific? You mentioned that businesses should close today, and by 12, you expect they should comply. Can you be more specific? And what essential businesses are allowed to open? And continuation, explain to us a little in details what is the plan of the French side of St. Martin blocking and monitoring their border.
Thank you for that question, Mr. Brown. I don't know what more specific I can be or how much more specific I can be about the business closures. We are in a tropical storm warning at the moment. As such, the public was notified since yesterday that we were in a warning. That means within 24 hours, we are expecting tropical storm force winds. We are experiencing some gusts already, and it is therefore for health and safety reasons imperative that people are within their homes and as much as possible safe. Only emergency services will be allowed to be open after 11 a.m. this morning. Only emergency services. So medical services, the hospital, the police, the fire department, etc., everything that is considered for emergencies are able to operate on the public roads as normal. As it regards to the plan of the French, I just updated that the French prefect took the decision to start back or resume the border controls, which means that persons going to and leaving the French side will have to present documentation to be able to be approved to do so, as was done before the lockdown and as we de-escalated our lockdown after the last scare that we had with COVID-19. So the same process, the same procedure, those persons that have to cross the border for work, for health, and for assisting and taking care of elderly or other family members, they will be allowed as per usual with the proper documentation, and this will commence on Friday midday. So we're shut down today as per the storm on both sides. So that's not an issue today, nor is it an issue tomorrow. However, it will become a control will start as of Friday, as far as the prefect has mentioned. But of course, I'm quite sure that she will issue her own press statement on this. I am only notifying because the people on Dutch St. Martin and those that work on the Dutch side that reside on the French side would have to start making the necessary precautions to ensure that you have the proper documentation so that you can continue to work, so that you can continue to do the necessities as per the French Préfet's order.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Thank you, Lyndon, for that question. Jeffrey.
Rulaika?
Yes, Prime Minister.
Sorry, I have Minister Richardson on the line. Minister, are you prepared now to finalize the answer?
Yes, I'm here, Prime Minister. Thank you for this creative way to be able to respond to Ms. Shah. Ms. Shah, thank you for your question, very valid one, and precisely the reason why I've taken the approach where I want to develop a very transparent and open dialogue, not just with the justice workers, but with the public entirely on this matter where it regards the function books. For example, you made mention about understanding that signing, etc., had been done in the past, and you're absolutely right. I have a letter right here with me that is going to be sent off to the Council of Advice, for example. What was signed previously is that for KVSM, police. Bear in mind that the Ministry of Justice is a very large ministry. We have 9 different departments that has to have their function books finalized. It seems as though when persons hear about the function books, they are of the opinion it is just one. It is a function book, yes, but it has various chapters in it to ensure that all departments within the Ministry of Justice is regulated with their function books, placements, sales, etc. So we need to be able to get an update from the Council of Advice in terms of where the LBHAM is regards. And we also will be sitting with every department head to ensure that they are involved in the updates that they will then disseminate to their staff members. We have a level where we must communicate with our unions as well, but as well as the general public needs to be advised. And a very extensive and detailed press release is going to be coming out this week as well as next week to bring thorough communication to the public at large, and as well ensuring that our justice workers are well informed of the process entailed. So in a nutshell, I'm giving it to you with those details, but please look out in the media. We will be providing a very extensive and detailed update within this week and the week coming.
Thank you, Minister. I'll keep Minister on the line, Rulaika, and mute my mic until one of us gets a question. Thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Thank you, Minister Richardson. Thank you, Bibi, as well for that question. I would now like to invite Jeffrey Dr. Sock Cochran of Island 92 Radio to provide the final question. Dr. Sock, you have the floor.
Thank you, Rulaika, and good morning to all of the members of the Council of Ministers. And thank you for being here on a not so pleasant day outside. This question goes out to Minister Panafleck as it relates to VSA. We heard the Prime Minister mention that there were secondary and tertiary checks that were going to be performed for inbound tourists from the United States. I know one of the discussions that came up in one of the media reports from the Préfet on the French side was the statement that we were not doing second tests after 7 days on the island. Can you elaborate on some of those secondary and tertiary checks that we'll be doing? And are we considering adding a second PCR test when someone's here more than a week? And perhaps you can also give the general public and those listening some insights into the enhanced health declaration that will be required. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. South, for the question. Yes, indeed. Right now, we are busy elaborating and talking about getting the protocol of the Dutch side of St. Martin as close as possible with the one for the French side. We all know St. Martin consists of 2 nationalities, but it's still one island. What is good for the south is good for the north. What is good for the north is good for the south. So we are busy with that. As I stated before, it's a dynamic situation that we are encountering for. It is not an exact science that there are clear answers to it. So in that case, yes, if it's necessary, we will have to go back to the drawing board, see what is workable, what will keep the safety of the population as high as possible, bringing down the risk. And naturally, we will be in contact with the French to get the protocols synchronized, and that the community of the whole of St. Martin could be having a safe situation concerning the COVID. About the application that is live and that Minister of Tiat mentioned of stmartinentry.com, like I said yesterday, there was a preview for those that are working with the airlines. When people go on the website, they will be redirected where they have to enter their information, their PCR tests that have to be negative, and then they will be getting the necessary approval. Naturally, it will continue to be advisable for all that's coming to St. Martin, having a negative PCR test, to have with them a proof, either by the phone or printed out, seeing that we are going in the phase to open, and as things continue to develop, it will be more easy. But everybody will be advised, naturally, if possible, most likely to have like a proof that they have their PCR uploaded and that the test is negative. Thank you, Dr. Schock, for your question.
Thank you, Minister Panafleck, and as well, thank you, Dr. Schock, for that question. Members of the media, this does bring us to the end of the question and answer session. Thank you for participating once again. Honorable Ministers of the Council, members of the media, radio listeners, and online viewers, this brings us to the end of the live Council of Ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, July 29th, 2020. For rebroadcast, tune in to St. Martin Cable TV, Channel 115, St. Martin Gov Radio 107.9 FM, the official Facebook page of the Government of St. Martin, and the YouTube channel Government of St. Martin. For video on demand, be sure to log in to the official government's website at stmartingov.org. On behalf of the Department of Communication and the Government of St. Martin, I'm Relika Roach, and wishing you a pleasant day further.